Three little girls told a single dad. Our mom has the same tattoo as you minus he went speechless the warm spring afternoon in Charleston, South Carolina was supposed to be ordinary. Mason Carter had taken a quiet walk through Magnolia Gardens, carrying nothing more than a small basket of flowers for his late mother's birthday. He had spent the last 7 years raising his son alone after losing the woman he loved in a heartbreaking accident. He believed life had already taken everything it wanted from him. But in just one unexpected moment, 3 little girls would stop him in his tracks and unravel a mystery he never imagined possible. Their innocent words would shake every painful memory he had buried deep inside his heart. They looked at the faded compass tattoo on his forearm, smiled with complete certainty, and said something that made time itself seem to freeze. Our mom has the exact same tattoo as you. Before we continue, if you believe kindness, forgiveness, and second chances can change lives, please take a moment to like this video. Leave a comment telling us where you're watching from. Share this story with someone you love, and subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories that remind us hope is never truly lost. Mason stared at the 3 little girls in complete disbelief. They looked no older than 6 years old, identical in every way except for tiny ribbons of different colors tied into their blonde hair. Their cheerful smiles carried the innocence only children possess, completely unaware that the simple sentence they had spoken had shattered years of carefully built emotional walls. Mason slowly looked down at the compass tattoo on his arm. It wasn't just a design. It had been created years ago together with the woman he had planned to marry. They had promised that no matter where life took them, the matching tattoos would always point them back to each other. But after a devastating boating accident on Lake Michigan, everyone believed she had drowned. No body had ever been found. But after months of searching, authorities officially declared her dead. Mason had spent years grieving, trying to become both mother and father to his young son Noah. Trying to remain calm, Mason gently asked the girls what their mother's name was. The children smiled proudly and answered that her name was Rachel Brooks. That name meant nothing to him. Yet something inside his heart refused to dismiss the coincidence. Before he could ask another question, a woman appeared in the distance, hurrying toward the girls with panic written across her face. She wore a lavender dress that fluttered in the breeze as she rushed across the garden path. When Mason looked at her, the world around him disappeared. Her face was older. Her hair was slightly different, but her eyes, those unmistakable blue eyes, belonged to the woman he had once loved with every part of his soul. Rachel stopped several feet away, looking just as shocked as Mason. For several seconds, neither of them spoke. The girls looked back and forth between the adults, confused by the overwhelming silence. Rachel's breathing became uneven as she noticed the familiar compass tattoo on Mason's arm. She instinctively pulled back the sleeve of her own dress, revealing the exact same compass tattoo, faded by time but still unmistakable. Mason could barely whisper her old name, Grace. The woman closed her eyes as tears rolled down her cheeks. 7 years earlier, Grace Sullivan had survived the terrible boating accident, but she had suffered severe head trauma. She had been rescued unconscious hundreds of miles away after drifting with the current. When she finally woke in a Florida hospital, she remembered almost nothing about her previous life. She couldn't recall her family, her hometown, or even her own identity. With no identification surviving the accident, authorities struggled to discover who she was. A kind retired couple named Harold and Judith Brooks volunteered to care for her during rehabilitation. Unable to recover her memories, Grace eventually accepted the name Rachel Brooks after being legally adopted as an adult by the elderly couple who had saved her from complete loneliness. Years passed. She built a quiet new life. She became a kindergarten teacher, eventually adopting 3 orphan sisters who desperately needed a family after losing both parents in a house fire. Those little girls became her entire world. Though she often felt empty inside, she believed the sadness came from a past she could never remember. Standing in Magnolia Gardens, fragments of forgotten memories suddenly flooded back into her mind. She remembered laughter beside a lake. She remembered holding Mason's hand. She remembered choosing matching compass tattoos, because they represented always finding each other again. She remembered dreaming about raising a family together. Mason felt tears streaming freely down his face. Years of grief collided with unimaginable hope. But life was no longer as simple as reclaiming the past. Rachel Grace looked at the three girls standing beside her. They clung tightly to her dress, frightened by seeing their mother cry. She then looked across the garden where Noah, now 12 years old, was quietly walking toward them after buying lemonade from a nearby stand. He had no idea the woman standing before him had once planned to become his mother. Life had created two completely different families from one heartbreaking tragedy. Over the following weeks, Mason and Rachel spent countless hours together, carefully piecing together the missing chapters of their lives. Doctors explained that emotional shock sometimes restores memories. After years of trauma, Rachel remembered more every day. She remembered birthdays, road trips, late-night conversations, and promises they had once made beneath a sky full of stars. Yet she also remembered every bedtime story she had read to her adopted daughters. She remembered comforting them through nightmares, school performances, scraped knees, and birthdays. Those memories were just as real and just as precious. Neither Mason nor Rachel wanted to erase the lives they had built. Instead of forcing impossible choices, they decided to move forward with honesty, patience, and compassion. Noah slowly became a protective older brother to the triplets. The girls adored him almost immediately, following him everywhere during weekend visits. Mason found himself helping with school projects, teaching bicycle riding lessons, and attending dance recitals for children he had only recently met. The empty silence inside his home gradually transformed into laughter he hadn't heard in years. Rachel struggled with guilt. She mourned the years that had been stolen from both of them. Yet Mason never blamed her. He knew none of what had happened was her fault. Fate had simply taken an unexpected path before finally bringing them back together. Months later, both families gathered once again in Magnolia Gardens. The flowers bloomed brighter than Mason remembered. The same gazebo overlooked the peaceful walking paths where everything had changed. This time there was no confusion, only gratitude. The three little girls raced through the gardens with Noah chasing behind them, their laughter filling the air. Mason watched them with quiet amazement. He realized that love had never truly disappeared. It had simply grown into something much larger than either of them had imagined. Rachel stood beside him, gently holding his hand. The matching compass tattoos rested side by side once again. The symbols no longer represented finding their way back to the past. They represented finding the courage to embrace the future. Life had stolen years from them, but it had also given them 4 beautiful children who proved that family is not built only by blood or by memory. Family is built by every act of love, sacrifice, forgiveness, and unwavering commitment to one another. As the sun slowly disappeared beyond the trees, Mason finally understood something. His mother had often told him as a child, sometimes the greatest miracles don't arrive when everything goes according to plan. They arrive after life has completely fallen apart, quietly rebuilding hope one unexpected moment at a time. If this story touched your heart, please leave a comment with the words, "Love always finds its way." We'd love to see how many people still believe in hope, forgiveness, and miracles. The families walked home together as one, leaving behind the place where an impossible reunion had begun with nothing more than the innocent words of 3 little girls. Their story became a reminder that even after years of heartbreak, destiny can still surprise us in the most beautiful ways. The scars we carry are not always signs of what we have lost. Sometimes they become the map that leads us back to the people we were always meant to find. If this emotional story moved you, please like the video, share it with your family and friends, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments what part touched your heart the most. Your support helps us continue bringing inspiring stories that remind the world kindness, faith, and love still exist.